Donald Trump is having regrets about the people that he has deported, and now he's talking about bringing them back. Of course, he's saying on Fox that, oh, we want them to learn and be educated and then come back legally, and that sounds all well and good, but he also goes on to say that it's punishing the farmers because they now don't have people to work their fields, and there's nobody who's going to go and do that type of work in America.
So I know Donald Trump ain't regretting deportation, huh? Wait a minute, did I read that right? Did I hear that right? Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. So you're regretting deportation. You went around and had ICE snatch them people clean about the fields. Arrested them, took them to countries that weren't even their own original countries, and put them in camps that look like concentration camps. For what? Did you think you had another race that you can pop into those jobs? Did you think you can pay another race as little as you were paying those people from other countries who were here illegally? That's what you thought. You thought if you put the pressure, jack the prices up of everything, make it high, make people around here struggle, that you was going to have a certain race that would run to those jobs. I bet you I know which race you thought it was going to be.
Donald Trump, don't backpedal now. Now you're saying or acting like you're regretting or that it was a mistake that you did this mass deportation, although you set it in place and this was planned and thought out way before your presidency when y'all were concocting up this Project 2025. You had plenty of time to think about the consequences this was going to have, and you still proceeded with it. So now you're just realizing that all immigrants aren't criminals. Now you want to realize that they are actually hardworking people that have been working on these farms for over 20 years and just want to make an honest living for their family. Now you want to realize that now you have shipped all these hardworking immigrants off to their native land, that us Americans are not going to want to work in these fields for the prices that they are paying these immigrants. Now you're seeing that the farmers are suffering because of your dumb ass decisions.
Donald Trump, in his own little special way, has stated that he's maybe regretting the mass deportation. He's maybe regretting the climate of what's going on in the country with the deportation because of the farmers. He's saying that the inner city people aren't doing it. The inner city, we was never fucking doing that shit. The people in the country do that shit. And you're supposed to pay them for doing it. That's the fucking problem. You motherfuckers aren't paying people to get out in the fields. You're not paying them fair wages. Why are you bringing inner city people into this shit? Outer city, rural people are supposed to be at the farms, working at the farms, being paid a livable wage, and y'all aren't doing that shit. Keep it a bean. I don't think that, I feel like the deportation situation was sensationalized for votes and to make people feel better. And then they let the riots and the protests go crazy. So you know how they do that to make people feel like they have a voice and shit like that.
I know goddamn well Trump didn't think that we was finna get back in the motherfucking fields. So Trump gonna get his ass on goddamn TV talking about he prematurely deported the illegals that was working in the farms, thinking that us niggas was gonna get back out there. Bitch, we already did that, and you see where it got us, huh? We the freshest motherfucking goddamn race walking. You think we finna fuck up our new Louis Vuittons that we goddamn skipped out on our light bill for? No. Get somebody else to do it. What's wrong? They running short on that motherfucking lettuce that they put on the motherfucking big bats that you eat every goddamn day? Talking about the motherfucking inner city people don't want to take the farmer jobs. Nigga, what the fuck you thought was gonna happen? You didn't think about this shit before you did it? Well, newsflash, Mr. Motherfucking Trump, we don't even want to go to the goddamn jobs that we got to clock in for. They got AC units. We already complaining before we clock in.
So now Cheeto Puff is saying that he want to bring the immigrants back to the United States because the inner city people, us, are not getting in the field like he thought that we were going to. Y'all really voted for that big songy Cheeto Puff to sit up here and play Jeopardy with our lives? He is literally playing Jeopardy with the American lives, and y'all sat there and voted for that. What did this man really think was getting ready to happen? You gathering enough people to go snatch people off the streets, taking them out the fields. Now stuff starting to fall, produce not being produced. Now you're going to bring them back. You're going to have to pay them to bring them back. Do you know how you embarrass them folks, snatching them off the streets, throwing them in vans, throwing them in cars, putting stuff over their head? They don't know where they're going, throwing them in these camps, mistreating them, and now you want to bring them back? This is your president, right? Bravo to y'all, bravo to y'all.
your president, not mine, has decided that he is going to reverse this whole deportation situation and is suggesting that people come back to America to work these farms and everything. Not saying sorry, not acknowledging that what he did was probably one of the most horrific things you could do to people and families, children, tearing families apart or anything. No, he is basically saying that, the farmers here need help. And so they're going to educate them, get them legally sent back to this country to do the work that he thought the folks in the inner city would have been able to do. Clearly, if you read between those lines, he thought that black people were going to get out in these fields and do the work that the folks that he deported would have done. And to that I say, sir, you are so detached from the people that it is pathetic at this point. How in the hell did you think that black people were going to get in the fields and do that work? Like, is anyone consulting with you? I'm being so serious, y'all, because it's like, sir, most black people are established in some way, which speaks to the lack of understanding and knowledge and whatever else you want to say as it relates to black people and understanding the progression of black people in this country. Not everybody's waiting for some handout and, oh yeah, I'll go work those fields. You're smoking something, sir. And it's not good. It's not good. So yeah, that's your president. He's a hot mess. And yeah.
Now, did somebody say that our President Trump was on Fox today crying about he made a mistake sending all them immigrants away? Did he say he made a mistake deporting all them immigrants? Yeah. Did he say the farmers were going to be suffering and who was going to tend the fields out there? Did he actually think, who he thought was going to do it? The African-American people? Oh, we won't do that no more. We won't do that no more. I got people that own businesses. I got people that sell T-shirts, sell purses, sell everything. I got people that own stores. We don't do that anymore. I even heard that he said what would happen to the, I think he was talking about the immigrants working and they back, because it's back-breaking work. So he was like, what would they do if their back was broke? What would they do? They say they'd die because if their back ain't working, they ain't no good. We don't do that anymore. We don't tend the fields and stuff. And I tell you something else you figured out.
Y'all, so apparently the Republicans thought if they got rid of the illegals and they put more financial pressure on the black communities and the people of color that are American citizens, that we would want to go in the fields and we would want to do the work that the previous citizens that hadn't yet to obtain their citizenship would do. Now, hear me out. When the produce immediately changed, at first I was a little annoyed. I live in Arizona for perspective. So yeah, they here. They out here for real. And it hit us immediately. Do you hear me? When the produce went bad, at first, and not bad, but it just was, you could tell. You can tell the difference.
Donald Trump made a statement that he might allow the migrants that are in prison to go work on farms. Some of them were working on the farm as that was their choice. Not all of them. Some of them were working at Home Depot. Some of them were working in the hotel. Most of them were working, doing various jobs. Now he's saying he's going to release them to go work on the farms and let the farmer take responsibility of the migrants. They're going to call it owner responsibility. They should call it MDS, modern day slavery, because that's what that would be. And that's what it will be, a modern day slavery, point blank period. I'm not quite sure why you think farmers should be in charge or, in control of anybody. They were working on the farm on their own. Some of them, not all of them, on their own. You guys decide to round them up and lock them up. Now you pondering on the idea to release them to go work on the farms and have the farmer be in control or in charge of them. That should be modern day slavery. That's what that is. To us black folks, that's screaming slavery. So the idea of that, I just think it's a crock of doo-doo shit, my opinion.
Trump basically tells Fox News that he regrets busting down on the immigrants and sending them back home because his farmers now need help. And all I can say is I knew he was going to regret this shit, because there's no person really working harder than an immigrant due to the simple fact that they're on a mission. They're on a mission. They come to this country just to work. Immigrant is probably the hardest working person you know. Hands down. No ifs or buts about it. And it's just like they was not bothering you. I knew in the end time you were going to need these people to take care of life in America. If you really think about it, who are building these bridges that we drive on? Immigrants. Who are building these houses? Immigrants. Who are cutting the grass? Immigrants. So now that your farmers are in need, you want to double down and say, oh, we're going to bring back the immigrants and make sure they come legally. It's not easy to get rid of them. Well, you try to challenge the situation and it backfired on your ass.
It appears as though Donald Trump has just worked out that his deportation policies hurt American farmers. Who knew? I mean, as we say in London, what a plonker. What a complete plonker. This was as obvious as you like. But Donald Trump has just done a news conference now where he's been saying that, unfortunately, there have been some workers on American farms and they might not be citizens and have all the paperwork, but they've been working there for 20 or 25 years and done a really good job. And now farmers are having to get in, criminals and things like that instead. And it's so obvious what's happened here. Big farming businesses in the States will have been trying to get his attention for a long time. They will have finally got his attention, maybe through, threats of what's likely to happen, but they've got it through to Donald Trump's thick skulls that if all of the immigrant workforce get chased out of the States, then this is what is going to happen. Lots of American farms will go bust. Other American farms won't be able to harvest and sow all of their produce. That means there's going to be a shortage of food in the US. That's going to drive up prices. And with Donald Trump's 10% tariffs on absolutely everyone from the rest of the world trying to sell in food produce into the US, that means that basic food prices are going to rocket right up.
So for those of you guys that didn't know, Trump did an interview in which he basically talked about regretting the deportations, the mass deportations, right? And he also stated that it was under the impression of the Republicans and the people that are basically giving him these strategies that the black community would eventually get back in the field. That we would take the place of the people that he deported. I'm not sure who told him that. I don't know who the fuck told him that shit. But you need to go ahead and fire that person, because, baby, we degreed the fuck up. Not only are we degreed the fuck up, we have buyer power and seller power. And we're a literal force. I mean, black women alone are such a threat that they had to change federal law to make black loan or black grants that are strictly for black women and black owned businesses inclusive to everybody, because we were growing so quickly anyways. And they saw us coming from a mile away. They were like, these motherfuckers is, god damn, these bitches are smart. And is
immigrant farm workers are not showing up on farms in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, Florida, and California. In Texas, in particular, in the Rio Grande Valley, they produce many crops needed around the country, such as grapefruit, corn, citrus, oranges, all the vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, cabbage, onions are all grown here. And guess what? The undocumented workers are not showing up there. They're not showing up here in Florida, and they're not showing up in California. Now, I can hear you all say, you don't care, you're glad they're getting them. They're breaking the law, number one. They are criminals. They're not criminals. They are violating a civil violation, which is a fine or a penalty. It is not criminal, unlike the felon in the White House. That's a criminal. You will be complaining when you see no fruit, vegetables, and other crops in our grocery stores to eat. You will care when you see the prices escalate even higher. Isn't that the reason y'all supposedly voted for Trump? Because he was going to bring the prices down, and y'all could only complain and complain about everything under Biden. I don't hear y'all complaining about these out of control prices anymore that we continue to see everywhere thanks to Donald Trump. And all the prices that we've seen go up because of the trade deals or no trade deals and the tariffs. Well, guess what? These prices are going up. Thank you, Donald Trump. You and Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is such a genius. You know, he is the whole reason that we're having this whole problem, because he is so anti-immigrant. And by the way, his family came from Europe. They were persecuted as immigrants. And Elon, oops, Elon, I did say Elon. Elon, how do you like hanging out with Stephen's wife? What do you think? Love to hear from my Democrats, my Magas, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. What do you all think? Only going to cost us more money, and to accomplish what? This is not a solution. It is the problem. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller are the problem. Love to hear from my Democrats, my Magas, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. Let me know what you think. You like these higher prices and the food shortages you're going to see if this continues, and it's going to continue. They're not going to show up. And I'm going to talk about ICE in another video.
So my Caribbean cousin, apparently Donald Trump may have a little bit of remorse when it comes to his mass deportation on immigrants. Why? The hotels are not being cleaned. The construction work, slow down. Buildings are not going up fast enough. Not enough workers. The farming, the crops are not reaching the shelves fast. Donald Trump, who did you think was going to work those jobs? The African Americans? You thought by getting rid of the immigrants that the African Americans are going to stand up and work those jobs? No, 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 no. They are rich. They have businesses, college diplomas. Those jobs are not for them anymore. Now, pay them. Pay the immigrants, because you embarrass them around the world. So you want them back? Legally? Pay them. Your remorse will cost you. So pay the immigrants to come back to America legally. Pay them.
Trump now backtracks and says that he wants foreign workers to come back into the U.S. and go through a path towards leadership. Here's what he said on the Squawk Box on MSNBC.
With a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these people, you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir.